Sales obviously is required for, cash flow.
Right.
And is one of the driven forces of any brand, no matter what stage they're in terms of size. But there is this misconception that everything starts with sales, especially entrepreneurs or founders or people that are very product driven, think that sales is sort of like this magical formula that somehow you're just going to hire a salesperson and sales are going to start jumping in, right? Which sometimes is the case, right?
Sure.
But do you think that good sales starts with good product and infrastructure? Or do you think that a good salesperson can make almost any product and any brand work?
Well, you said infrastructure, and I think that that's the most important thing. Um, like
Because you
in
hear it all the
wholesale,
time, right? Like
yeah,
an underperforming salesperson is going to say, "Oh, the product or the brand, it's the product or the brand," right? But is it
right.
actually? And that's what I'm trying to ask you. What is your personal belief on that?
I mean, I've definitely successfully sold some bad product in my experience. That happens. Everyone should be prepared for that. The dream is selling great product. So yeah, product is important, but like it's not everything. But you said infrastructure earlier, and that to me is it's like truly the most important thing because like salespeople are gold on what is or bonused, just in sales, your success is based on what was invoiced, not what was booked. So I can go and sell things really well at wholesale upfront in market. But then let's say we don't meet our deadline to ship the product. We lose that sale. So like
Plus the
everyone
reputation.
else,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, this is like a very normal thing. It's not like, you have to really consistently be shipping things out of out of the delivery window to lose your reputation. But like if honestly, my boss at McQueen said this every day, and I will say it every day for the rest of my life. Mediocre product shipped early is always better than good product shipped late. And that's not something that salespeople are in control of. But, just in terms of like if we are working on, a classic seasonal structure where it marks down at a certain point, you know, having 10 weeks selling, on average 3% of a product is so much better than having 2 weeks selling, 9% of a product before it marks down. Like it just the math works that way.
Hmm.
So there are certain things that like massively impact your sales performance that have nothing to do with product and have nothing to do with sales. And it's
Mhm.
all about how the company works seamlessly behind the scenes.
Course. Yeah, and I guess the role of a salesperson is almost to identify which brands have the most sales potential by looking at all those different factors, right? Which one have great brand positioning, product, infrastructure. You can make a lot of things work based on your skills, right? But
Mhm.
ideally, you want all of them. Because if you have
Right.
all of them and
Of course.
you have a great salesperson, that's when you get incredible results. And because salespeople, and I think this is very educational because most people listening are potentially aspiring entrepreneurs, is that salespeople are incentive based, right? And if you
Yeah.
want good performance, you need to give them all of the right tools that they need to perform, right?
Yeah.
And it's all those different factors that you just mentioned. It's not just, oh, this salesperson's ability or contact network is what am I responsible also as a founder, right? To make those things a possibility.
Yeah. And there have been so many times in my career, when we'll really get behind something. Like there was a new pant that we were so excited about at one of my brands. And then when it shipped, the fit didn't work, and it's really hard to sell a pant that doesn't fit. It looked amazing in pictures, it looked amazing on the models, but like there were moments when maybe the fit team should have done something different. And that's a huge loss because that was an opportunity for an evergreen product that we would never mark down. It would always sell at full margin, which, and like salespeople are gold based on their sales, buyers are gold based on their margins. So if you're helping them with a good margin, you're helping yourself get more business. So, something like that, where it's like, really meticulous product stuff. Yeah, that should be absolute top of mind.
Amazing. And transitioning, now let's say that a brand already has the infrastructure, to make
Mhm.
solid sales seasons. What is the first thing that you look at? What is the first sort of like stage of your decision making process? Because again, every brand's different. Product, seasons, positioning, everything sort of like influences the strategy differently. So what are the first questions that come to your head in terms of, okay, this is a good brand. Now, this is going to be potentially the best strategy for this brand specifically.
So something I actually haven't touched on yet, outside of my like full-time corporate work is that I do a lot of small brand consulting, you know, for all sorts of brands. And I think the number one thing that I've never passed over is like determining what the hero product is. I think there's so many brands, for some brands, it's better to focus really small, stay direct to consumer, or maybe focus on, editor placement and getting really good press and celebrity stuff, like, getting the visuals look amazing. There's so many different ways to approach that are very, very brand dependent. I think the number one thing though that, can make or break a brand is having hero product. Um, it's very hard to be a brand that can offer a very wide assortment. Um, and even the brands that do that still have the hero product that pays for everything else,
Carrying the
essentially.
whole collection. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and it's important to specify that we're like a hero product is different from like an it item, because like everyone right now is so concerned about how fast the trend cycle is moving. So I personally would almost like advise the brands that I work with to avoid trying to have an it moment, because just as quickly as it, brings you up, it can also kind of like suppress you once people are past that moment. Like it's almost like you can get burned and it can feel passe. Um, but the difference between like an it thing and a hero thing is that it actually, like, despite how fast trends are moving right now, it takes a very long time for the average customer to get tired of seeing one item. So like unless it's like the most wild thing that's absolutely everywhere, or something that's like super out there that doesn't really have a lot of like longevity in the customer's actual life, you can really like keep on doing the same thing for years and years and years before the customer will get fatigued of it.
Sure. And could you give us sort of like the consistencies of what make up a hero product and maybe a specific example? Is it
Yeah,
high
of
profit
course.
margins? Is it easy to produce? Is it logistical simplicity?
No, so when I say hero product, I mean that it has to be the hero product for the customer. So this is like an end customer thing where everyone is going to want it. Like people are going to buy it in multiple colors. They're going to buy it year over year. I mean, this is really a core conversation. So like a lot of brands are hesitant about building out a core program because it feels harder for them almost than establishing seasonal collections. But um, just in terms of brand messaging alone, if you're trying to start a new brand, if you're trying to gain customer following, you got to show them the same thing a million times for them to know who you are. So like part of it is just like, so we're talking about when I was at McQueen, that big sole sneaker, a lot of people call it the Larry sneaker. That was the number one SKU at Nordstrom while I was there for a while. Um,
Wow.
and that shoe was around for and like honestly, forgive me if I'm quoting that wrong, but I'm pretty positive that that is the correct it was probably like the number one SKU in Nordstrom in designer or in footwear. I don't remember what all of the qualifiers are, but still, that is huge. And the thing is that that shoe had been around for a really long time before I started, and
Yeah.
it's still around. So it's like it wasn't an it item, it was the hero item that literally paid everyone's bills. And like no one can expect to have an item that successful,
Right.
but it is
Everybody should
something
aspire. Everybody should aspire to have a
everyone should
product that's
aspire.
successful. Not everybody should expect to have a product that's successful.
Yeah. So like obviously you can't necessarily choose what your hero item is going to be. You have to see what the reception is,
Hmm.
but like you should probably go into things thinking like, okay, I'm going to give a distilled enough like assortment of the brand that if something has the potential, it will be accessible enough, like enough people will have chosen it that it can take off.
Right.
So I mean, there's so many reasons to do this. Like one is obviously the brand messaging, where like the reason why half of the people heard about McQueen and rap songs was because of that sneaker. Like that's free marketing
Mm.
everywhere. Like every designer shoe floor you go to has that sneaker in 10 colors on a huge display. More free marketing. Not to mention the millions of dollars it brought in. And the fact that no development really has to go into something like that once you've done it. So
Of
you
course.
develop it once, and then after that, it's free money.
Yeah.
So, like, in terms of like cutting down your development costs. And then also, once you're doing big enough numbers in something, the margins there should pay for you to experiment in other ways.
Of course.
So, like,
Interesting.
that's like my number one thing where, like, I've had a couple conversations where people say that they're not sure about making a core program. And I think that
It's
that's like the
it's
number
I
one
agree.
thing.
I agree. I think it's the only thing people should be sort of like focusing on at the very beginning, because getting that right is going to carry the entire business for a long time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. Interesting. So you've identified a brand that has a hero product. If they don't, they should work on developing one. You
Yeah.
identify a hero product by essentially looking at the sales and seeing, okay, what is from a customer's perception of the brand, what is a product that they associate with the brand that is easy to replicate. And from there is, I'm guessing, what is the strategy? How can we grow this more? How can we sell this specific product more? What's the next step in your sort of like decision making process? Do you then go into, okay, now how do we formulate an expansion strategy regionally or internationally for this? What's the next step for you?
I mean, it so depends because some people will get a hero product on D2C. Like I'm thinking of, for example, Frankie Shop, like currently such a hot name in fashion, but they've also been around for a long time. And I think that for a while they were just making the product for their own brick and mortar store, or I think at that point they probably had two. Now they have Lord knows how many, like at least five, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but they have two in New York and at least one in Paris. And so at first, the thing that I saw as their hero product was an oversized t-shirt with shoulder pads in it. So super flattering, like a little bit more impactful. And then I remember that they launched wholesale with Browns based on that. And they did like a 3 SKU package that was just based around this. There was like a shorter version, a longer version, and then a couple color multipliers, and that was it. Um, so it really depends if you have an existing wholesale business or if you're all D2C. But yeah, sure. Expansion is the name of the game. It's like if you are in a couple doors, but you have something that you know is working with a US major, then yeah, of course, expand the doors and make sure that they get that, like the new ones get that hero product first, and then just like a couple seasonal things for spice. That's kind of what you always do. I don't know, I'm totally rambling, but
No, no,
uh
no, no, not at all.
it's just again, everything is so brand specific. Like when I was at LaPointe, we were selling, the brand kind of catchphrase is like monochrome power dressing. We were like at the frontier of the like feather trend. So we were like, okay, feather pants are our number one most searched thing on Google. Like, yes, sure, maybe that sounds like an it item, but once you do it for a few years and it's still trending, like that's your core item, that's your hero piece. Um, but maybe not everyone in the world needs a feather pant. And maybe you do have to keep it elite because you are making them for close to $2,000 and it is a luxury item. So it's like not everything needs to be blasted out at a big scale. But at that point, maybe the answer is like, okay, we made this thing that people are responding to, and now we need to get Beyonce to wear it. You know, like it just depends if your answer is volume or if your answer is, kind of like the highest quality brand support
Hmm.
with something like, major placement like that.
Yeah. And as you said, it really all comes down to the brand's positioning and the brand's goals at the end of the day.